Imagine reaching retirement with a home worth $400,000, no mortgage payment, and the comforting feeling that your housing is finally free. Then, within the same 12 months, your property tax bill increases, your homeowner's insurance premium jumps, the air conditioning system stops working, and a contractor tells you the roof may need to be replaced. Suddenly, your free house costs you more than $2,000 a month. Now imagine another retiree who sold her home and moved into a rental apartment. She no longer worries about repairs, yard work, or property taxes. But 3 years later, her landlord raises the rent again, and she realizes that this payment may continue increasing for the rest of her life. So who made the smarter decision? After age 60, is it safer to own your home, or could renting actually protect your retirement? The answer is not as simple as most people believe. Owning is not automatically a good investment, and renting is not automatically throwing money away. The right decision depends on your monthly cash flow, your home equity, your health, your location, your family situation, and how long you expect to remain in the same place. And near the end of this video, I'm going to give you a simple 7-question test that can help reveal which option may be safer for your retirement. But first, we need to expose one of the biggest mistakes retirees make when comparing renting with owning. Most people compare the monthly rent with the mortgage payment. That comparison is incomplete. A mortgage payment is only one part of the cost of owning a home. A renter may write one check each month and know that the major building repairs are someone else's responsibility. A homeowner may not have a mortgage at all, but still face property taxes, homeowner's insurance, maintenance, repairs, homeowners association fees, landscaping, pest control, and expensive accessibility modifications. That is why the real question is not, do I own the property? The real question is, how much does this property require from my retirement income every month? And how much financial risk am I accepting by staying here? More than 1 in 3 older American households are now spending over 30% of their income on housing. Older renters face especially high affordability pressure, but millions of older homeowners are also housing cost burdened. Let's look at 3 fictional but very realistic retirees. The first is Susan. Susan is 68 years old, widowed, and lives in the 3-bedroom house where she and her husband raised their children. The house is completely paid off and worth approximately $420,000. When people look at Susan, they assume she has no housing payment. But let's calculate what the house actually costs her. Her property taxes are $5,400 per year. That equals $450 a month. Her homeowner's insurance is $2,400 per year, or $200 a month. She pays approximately $150 a month for lawn care, seasonal cleanup, and small household jobs she no longer feels comfortable doing herself. Then there is maintenance. Some months she spends almost nothing, but over several years she has paid for plumbing work, appliance replacements, exterior painting, and heating system repairs. When she averages those costs, she needs to reserve at least $400 a month for maintenance and future repairs. Before utilities, Susan's supposedly free home is costing her approximately $1,200 a month. And that still doesn't include a future roof, a new furnace, or the possibility that she may need to install bathroom safety equipment, replace steps with a ramp, or create a first-floor sleeping area. This does not mean Susan should immediately sell her home. She loves the neighborhood. Her doctors, friends, and church are nearby. Moving would create financial and emotional costs of its own. But Susan must stop describing her house as free. A paid-off house is an asset, but it is also an asset that sends bills. Nearly 40% of owner-occupied homes in America are owned free and clear. That is an important financial advantage, but being mortgage-free does not eliminate taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance, or repair costs. Now, let's consider Robert and Elaine. They are both 64 and plan to retire within 2 years. Their home is worth $500,000, but they still owe $170,000 on the mortgage. Their mortgage payment, including taxes and insurance, is approximately $1,800 a month. They also spend around $400 a month on maintenance, landscaping, and homeowners association fees. Their total housing cost is approximately $2,200 a month. While they are both working, that amount is manageable. But after retirement, their combined dependable income from Social Security and pensions is expected to be approximately $5,600 a month before taxes. Their home would consume nearly 40% of that dependable monthly income. And here is the danger. Robert and Elaine are looking at their current income when deciding whether they can afford the home. They should be looking at their retirement income. A house that is affordable during your final working years can become uncomfortable the month your paycheck stops. They have several possible choices. They could remain in the home and use part of their savings to pay off the mortgage. That would reduce their monthly obligation, but it would also remove a large amount of cash from their retirement portfolio. They could continue making the mortgage payment, but that would leave less room for healthcare, travel, vehicle replacement, and unexpected expenses. They could sell the home, pay off the mortgage, and use the remaining equity to purchase a smaller home with cash. Or they could sell, invest part of the proceeds, and rent a smaller apartment. Notice that the smartest choice is not necessarily renting or keeping the current house. Their strongest option may be to remain homeowners, but own a smaller and less expensive property. This is where many rent versus own conversations go wrong. They treat the decision as though there are only two choices: keep your current house forever or sell everything and become a lifelong renter. In reality, there are several middle options. You can downsize and buy a smaller home. You can move from a large detached house into a condominium, although you must carefully examine the association's finances and fees. You can relocate to a lower-cost community. You can sell a high-value property and purchase a less expensive one without a mortgage. You can rent temporarily before deciding where you want to settle permanently. You may even be able to share the home with a relative or carefully selected housemate, reducing costs while preserving your ownership. The goal is not to defend one housing identity. The goal is to create the safest retirement cash flow. Now consider our third retiree, James. James is 72 and has rented the same apartment for 6 years. His current rent is $1,650 a month. The apartment is close to his daughter, his doctor, and a grocery store. Maintenance is handled by the property manager, and he no longer has to climb stairs or take care of a yard. For James, renting provides convenience and flexibility, but he has a different type of risk. His rent is not fixed permanently. Suppose, only as an illustration, his rent increased by an average of 5% each year. A $1,650 monthly payment could grow to approximately $2,700 after 10 years. That does not mean rent will definitely increase by exactly that amount. It shows why retirees must test their housing decision against future costs, not only today's payment. A homeowner with a fixed-rate mortgage may have a stable principal and interest payment, but taxes, insurance, and repairs can rise. A renter may avoid repair bills, but rent can rise, and the lease may not always be renewed. Neither option completely removes housing inflation. The risks simply appear in different places. So how should you make this decision? Start with what I call your true housing number. For homeowners, add the mortgage payment, property taxes, insurance, association fees, utilities, routine maintenance, yard care, and a monthly reserve for major repairs. Do not ignore a future expense simply because you did not pay it this month. A roof that costs $18,000 and lasts 18 years still represents roughly $1,000 per year of long-term ownership cost. The bill arrives all at once, but the house is slowly creating that expense every year. For renters, add rent, renter's insurance, utilities, parking fees, storage, amenity charges, and an allowance for future rent increases and moving costs. Then compare both totals with your dependable retirement income, not your income during your highest earning years. Dependable retirement income includes sources such as Social Security, pensions, and other income you reasonably expect to continue. Portfolio withdrawals can support your budget, but they may be affected by market performance, withdrawal rates, and longevity. As a warning sign, pay close attention when total housing costs move above approximately 30% of your dependable monthly income. That does not automatically mean the home is unaffordable. Some retirees can comfortably spend more because they have substantial savings and very little spending elsewhere. But crossing that line should force a serious review. A household receiving $5,000 a month and spending $2,300 on housing has only $2,700 remaining for food, transportation, healthcare, taxes, insurance, family assistance, and every unexpected expense. Now let's talk about home equity, because this is where emotions often interfere with good financial decisions. You may say, "I cannot sell this house. It is my biggest asset." That may be true, but ask yourself, is the asset supporting your retirement, or is your retirement supporting the asset? A person can own a $500,000 home and still struggle to pay a $6,000 property tax bill. That person may be wealthy on paper, but short of usable cash. Home equity can provide options. You may sell and downsize. You may use part of the proceeds to strengthen your emergency fund. In some cases, homeowners consider home equity loans or reverse mortgages, but those products involve costs, eligibility requirements, and serious long-term consequences that must be understood carefully. A reverse mortgage, for example, does not make ownership expenses disappear. Borrowers generally remain responsible for property taxes, insurance, and keeping the home in good repair. Before using any home equity product, speak with an appropriate qualified professional and compare the total costs, not merely the advertised monthly benefit. Next, consider the 5-year rule. If you expect to move within only a few years, purchasing another property may not provide enough time to recover transaction costs, such as closing expenses, moving expenses, repairs, and selling commissions. Renting can give you time to test a new community before making a permanent commitment. This is especially useful for retirees considering a move to another state. A town may look perfect during a 1-week vacation, but feel completely different during the hottest summer month, the coldest winter month, or after you realize your preferred hospital is 45 minutes away. Renting for a year before buying can sometimes be a strategic decision, not wasted money. Now consider your health and the physical design of the property. A financially affordable house can still become physically unaffordable. Can you enter the home without climbing several steps? Is there a bedroom and full bathroom on the main floor? Could you safely use the shower if your mobility changed? How much work is required to maintain the yard? Are medical care, groceries, and family support reasonably close? Practical issues such as stairs, lighting, pathways, and the rooms used most often can determine whether a person can remain safely and independently in a home. Do not wait for an injury or medical emergency before asking these questions. You should also perform what I call the surviving spouse test. A home may be affordable while 2 retirement checks are arriving. But what happens after one spouse dies? Some household expenses decrease, but they rarely decrease by half. Property taxes, insurance, repairs, and rent generally continue. Meanwhile, part of the household's Social Security income may disappear. Ask this uncomfortable but necessary question: could either spouse comfortably afford and manage this home alone? If the answer is no, create a plan before a crisis makes the decision for you. Now we can answer the central question: when is owning usually better after 60? Owning may be the stronger option when the home is paid off or has an affordable fixed-rate mortgage. The total expenses fit comfortably within retirement income. The property is suitable for aging. You have enough savings for major repairs, and you expect to remain in the location for many years. Ownership can provide stability, control, protection from lease non-renewal, and an asset that may later be sold or passed to heirs. But when is renting usually better? Renting may be stronger when the current house is consuming too much income, too much wealth is trapped in the property, maintenance has become physically difficult, major repairs are approaching, you need flexibility, or you want to live closer to family, transportation, or health care. Renting can also be helpful when one spouse has recently died, and the surviving spouse needs time before making a permanent decision. Here is the 7-question test I promised. Question number 1. What is the property's true monthly cost after including every expense? Question number 2. What percentage of your dependable retirement income does that cost consume? Question number 3. Do you have enough liquid savings to handle a major repair without taking on expensive debt? Question number 4. Is the property physically suitable for you if your mobility or health changes? Question number 5. Do you expect to remain in the same location for at least several years? Question number 6. Could you or your spouse afford and manage the property alone? And question number 7. Is keeping this home more important than protecting your monthly cash flow, healthcare budget, and emergency savings? Write down your answers. Do not answer them only in your head. The best retirement housing decision is often emotionally difficult because a home represents far more than money. It represents family, memories, achievement, and stability. But your house should support your retirement. Your retirement should not be sacrificed to support a house that no longer fits your life. For many retirees, a paid-off, affordable, and accessible home will remain the strongest financial position. For others, selling a costly house and renting a smaller, better-located property will create more freedom and financial security. And for many people, the best answer will be somewhere between those two choices. Sell the current home, unlock the equity, and purchase a smaller property that is easier and less expensive to maintain. So do not ask only, is renting or owning better after 60? Ask, which option gives me the most reliable cash flow, the strongest emergency reserve, the safest living environment, and the greatest ability to handle the next 20 or 30 years? That is the decision that could save your retirement. Share in the comments whether you currently rent, own with a mortgage, or own your home completely. And before making a major housing decision, compare the full numbers and consult qualified financial, tax, legal, and housing professionals who understand your personal situation. This is Olivia, helping you protect your money, simplify retirement, and make smarter financial decisions after 60.